Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and today we are reviewing Collision. Now, to review Collision, we would have Dave. I'm sure he's due in very, very soon. Normally he's trying to get him on these morning shows that he has issues with, but now he's having an issue on an evening show. And I'm sure he would join us, but I do have a great replacement / another trio, part of the trio lined up, and all things All Elite with the face of the Honor Elite Facebook page. Gary Joe, I believe it's morning to you.
It is. It's currently 11:07, and like I told Dave, I definitely want to make this an ongoing theme where I will step in to do a Collision review every single Sunday. If that's going to be a thing, Adam, I would be very honored, so to speak, to certainly do this every Sunday for you guys, because Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, damn it, is the place to be. I'm so proud of these guys. So.
Thanks, Gary. I'm sure we can get you on for more Collision reviews. Before Collision, and when me and Dave normally do AEW reviews in general, we normally round up some news and tidbits that have come out since one show finished to one show started, and there was a couple after Dynamite into Collision. None of them particularly great, to be honest, but I'm sure a great AEW fan can give us more insight and maybe a difference of opinion, which people don't always appreciate. In a lot of ways, they see something and it's to the death, and they don't really give it the other second thought. The first one's actually pretty sad. It's Jamie Hayter, unfortunately, is out indefinitely. She's not going to make All In at the end of next month. Devastating blow, Gary. Joe, obviously, we wish Jamie Hayter all the best in their recovery, but a real devastating blow at really the wrong time.
Yeah, the timing is very unfortunate for Jamie. Injuries really suck. It's true. And I always, the thing that really plays in the back of my mind sometimes with these injuries, it's kind of like the injury bug that was occurring with Forbidden Door 2022.
Yeah.
Great pay-per-view. The hype was circling around AEW for it. Injury after injury after injury. And it sucks that we're losing Jamie for this show. I'm hoping she gets a cameo, or she can actually make an appearance on there. Come out to the crowd, thank them, hype them up a little bit, because after all, she is the hometown girl for sure.
She is, and as if by magic, he appears.
Dave Sorry about that.
Robinson, this is all right. We've only just started scratching the surface of tidbit news prior to Collision. So we were just talking Jamie Hayter injury, big blow to not only to the AEW, to the division as a whole. How does that change All In, Dave, do you think?
Yeah, I think that is a bigger issue as well. And we've talked about the women's division and stuff. Obviously, there was a lot planned around Jamie Hayter and the whole Outcast storyline. So it has affected the whole division as much as, just losing that one wrestler. It's a big blow, because I'm sure that Tony Khan had big plans for Jamie Hayter at Wembley, either kind of regaining the title or certainly in a featured match. But it gives some of the others, you look at Willow Nightingale, you've got Saraya, there's still a lot you can do. So, yeah, it's a bigger shame for herself personally, because she may, all these Wembley shows, obviously, they're not going to happen all too often. Hopefully, AEW did plenty more in the UK in the years to come, but this is the first one. Yeah. So, yeah, gutting for Jamie. And hopefully, I don't know what actually is it a shoulder issue?
Yeah. I believe so.
So that's the thing that's weird, Dave. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, you are the man, the fountain of knowledge. Go.
I appreciate it, dude. Obviously, this company excites me. So, the thing with Jamie is, that's just it, man. It's an undisclosed injury. I'm assuming something with her shoulder, because that's what she was holding when she got injured.
Yeah.
Now, we could take this to a grain of salt with Dave Meltzer, because you know how he is. This is the one that's reporting it. You never know. I look at it this way. I try to think of the positives. Let's hope the best, not only for Jamie to heal better, but maybe there will be a swerve to all this, where they kind of pull the thing with Jade Cargill, and all of a sudden Chris Statlander made a surprise return. That's what I'm hoping for, because when I do UK Fan Month on Honor the Elite, a lot of people I know are going to mention Jamie Hayter. So, nothing against Saraya. Nothing against Saraya. I mean, I guess that's a curveball you can do with the Outcast slowly splitting up or something. But I don't want that to happen either. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do. But if she
can't wrestle, she can still appear, or she can still be part of the weekend. I'm sure she'll be there, experiencing it. Yeah. But yeah, shame.
It is gutting for Jamie. And as I say, we all send her well wishes here and hope she makes more importantly the healthy recovery and takes as long as it needs to get any injury resolved. The women's division is going to be a theme of these new tidbits. Next one to come out was Jade Cargill hinting at an AEW exit. Now, I know kids watch this show, so she is what I class as the Vince McMahon wet dream of women. Look at what he goes, WWE have always been synonymous with these big guys and all of this, and you can see what he's doing in with the likes of Rhea Ripley and people like that. Gary Joe, is this maybe trying to sniff us away from the fact that she's coming back, maybe to replace Jamie Hayter, rather than she's potentially leaving the company?
If I can be honest here, I don't think Jade's got to leave. Again, this is coming from Meltzer. It's not coming from Jade Cargill doing a tweet on Twitter, posting her displeasure, being pissed off. Because I always say, I appreciate what these insiders do. I really, really do. But at the same time, then all of a sudden these talents come out saying, I never said this. So that's until I hear from the horse's mouth, I believe it when I see it. Jade Cargill, people can say what they want on her, but Jade Cargill is hands down one of the biggest important pieces that you need in this division. She has, I agree with you, Adam. She has the physique that WWE would die over for. She has it all, man. She's really money, like it or not. So I don't see Jade leaving. Will she come back as a face to challenge Toni Storm? I don't think it's going to happen that soon, but I wouldn't hate it. I think Jade will actually get a reaction as well. So if that's the curveball they do, Adam, I love the way you're thinking on that. So.
I was fantasy booking the Dynamite room. We was mentioning that Scotty Too Hotty was a producer, and Dave come up with the name. Me and him would be too bald to be the. Dave,
I love you guys.
He's lucky that he's still employed after a few of his top tens, but we won't go there. Dave, touching on Jade Cargill a second here. Would it be, because obviously I'm going to touch on one other thing about the women's division, and I'm going to hit onto something about Allin before we hit Collision. Do you think that, or is Jade playing the sort of hardball thing? I don't know. I don't know the contract situation. And nobody really knows it. Not even Meltzer may have an idea. The only people that really know the contract is talent and the management. Is this a hardball thing?
No, well, I don't think it's about money or anything like that. She's mega successful, and not only she's successful, but her partner, absolutely minted. So, in terms of contracts, and anyway, even if it was, Tony Khan could probably pay her whatever she was demanding. So I don't think it's about that. It's probably just about how much she does away from wrestling and how she divides the time. I don't think she will be satisfied with the way she's gone out if she's not going to come back. So I definitely think she'll come back. I don't think she's done with wrestling. I don't think she's done with AEW. I think AEW is the place where, she knows she's appreciated. So, and if it was solely a financial decision, and then you could say, yeah, I'm sure the WWE would be interested in her. but she doesn't need the WWE money, to be honest. And I think she'll be back sooner or later. Hopefully, soon.
Yeah, well, the WWE lost out in the bidding war to Roosh, so maybe it's not such a money thing. So anyway,
I just realized something as well, too, fellas.
What?
There's one person that she praises time and time again for her career, and that's why I don't see her leaving AEW as well. And Bryan Danielson, that's
yes,
who's helping her train, and maybe that's why she took time off. Maybe because she just wanted to get trained to be better. She wants to be above the ranks of the Britt Bakers of the company. That's maybe what she wants, and I don't blame her because she's got potential. It's just just the TBS title picture. Unfortunately, it kind of steered her into a head scratching booking sometimes because you're making her win matches when you're trying to compare a Goldberg streak, which I'm going there. But yeah, I think that's another thing that people got to remember too, is Bryan Danielson's there again. That's who brought her in. Was technically.
I think she'll want to do him proud, and she'll want to come back and show that she is much improved as a wrestler. Because, as you say, to look at, and she just looks like a star from the second she walked into AEW. But obviously, she's had to train and get better in ring. So she's not going to want to, after all that hard work and all the work that she'd done with Bryan Danielson, she's not done with AEW by a long shot. I'd be very surprised.
No, I think it's safe bet that we'll see her very soon back in the AEW. We've got to talk the women's division one more time, unfortunately. And again, not necessarily.
Unfortunately, let's give the women some spotlight.
That is book women better. So there was a story picked up. There's a lot of unhappiness backstage. Again, this was a Meltzer. And again, I always say you take everything with a grain of salt, but in hindsight, there is no smoke without fire. So there's maybe an element of truth to somebody's story. That they're unhappy with the way things are going. There was a veteran that come in and basically just said that it really was crapped on Britt Baker and people like that. That come out. I think it came out last week. I mean, she had a match last year, which I was a bit weird that she had a match last year and then done this coincidentally when we're talking about this booking women better. Gary Joe, you said off air that you had something to say on this, so I'm just going to say, there you go. There's the floor. Take it.
So I'm going to lead this to positive. I'm going to lead this to negativity to some positivity.
Cool.
Let's start off with the negativity because this should not be ignored. The women's division in AEW to me is one of the unfortunate pieces that AEW is having a tough time to connect with. I have no idea what it is. I don't know who's doing the booking. But, for what I understand, Kenny Omega's helping with this division. You're also having a couple pieces as well. I think Christopher Daniels is another one, and then somebody else I don't remember. But they really need to step up their game when it comes to this. I want to see more than independent star. I love her, Kayla Sparks, but was it really needed Britt Baker to win her with in a minute and a half?
That's exactly what I said
when it was Blood and Guts a couple weeks ago. You don't need to do that. You need to actually feature at least 2 women's matches. I don't care if one match is 2 minutes and then the next match at least do it for 10 minutes or something. Sure, there's video package throughout the show, but I want to see more. Okay, everybody's having the hype around Sky Blue. Great, get her into a match, and I'm not saying against an independent talent, and that's not a knock on the independents. It's just, I want to see also more of Statlander. Maybe I'm being biased on that. But it feels like sometimes there's just no sense of direction in the division, and that's very unfortunate because to me, on paper, this is one of the best women's division in the world. But they're so young, and I want these young talents, the ones that I mentioned, Sky Blue. I want them to succeed, but you've got to book them a lot better.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm going to turn into the positives. With all this crap storm that's been happening on AEW's division this week, TK really, really listens to the ongoing negativities and the ongoing jabs with his company, and he turns it around with some actions, and that's what I love about TK. He really listens to that criticism. Let's say if Kenny Omega is running it, let somebody else run it. Maria Kanellis has spoken up about it recently. She would love to help out with the women's division. Maria Kanellis, she was a damn good mindset with the ROH women's division.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get somebody that actually has a vision for the women's division, and it just that's the only thing that really, well, there's a couple more things, but one of the that irks my nerves a little bit is the direction of that division. And last thing I want to say, don't be like that fan that made that tweet on Taya Valkyrie. I don't know if you guys saw it, but
Yes.
I posted on my page,
Yeah.
and it was just downright disgusting. Just support the women because they're just as good as the men.
Exactly. And Dave, I'm going to throw a name. I don't know if he's still employed in Connecticut, so forgive me. And if he is, you can rinse me on Twitter. Fit Finley.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Fit's up to these days. Haven't heard much about him for a while. He used to appear quite frequently in the security segments and pull apart brawls and stuff. And no, I haven't seen him. So yeah, that could be somebody great. I mean, I think AEW have been unlucky with some injuries because obviously we discussed Jamie Hayter. Thunder Rosa is another one that, you know, that division would have been centered around, and she would have been featured prominently in some of the more, you know, the better storylines and the storylines when it comes to the title. So they've had to adapt, and we haven't got the best out of them. You've got Serena Deeb, who's apparently sitting at home. She's ready to come back. I really love what she was doing in terms of her kind of beat the clock challenge. So that's something that that's an easy, quick thing that they could do. Just reintroduce Serena Deeb. Hopefully there's no issues between her and AEW, because she was you know, when she was performing at that level, she was one of the best women wrestlers in the world. So I'd like to see Serena back. I also question whether there's something coming from above in terms of you know, Warner Brothers and Discovery and the women's wrestling, because it seems to be that the Ring of Honor women matches are booked pretty well. So, and you'd think it's the same company, it's the same people at the helm doing it. So maybe there's some directive coming from above that they want less women matches for whatever reason. Maybe when they analyze the ratings, there's a dip for the women's matches. You would think not, given what Willow Nightingale and Athena did a few weeks ago. But Tony Khan is getting a lot of flack for it, and he books Ring of Honor. So there may be something there's probably something, a lot of things that we aren't aware of. But I'm certainly positive about the future of the women's division. As you say, Gary Joe, Tony Khan will be acutely aware of the criticism and all the noise, particularly in the last week or so. So I'm sure they'll be making great strides to improve the division. You know,
You didn't even have to be aware; you just have to look at a sign.
Yeah, exactly.
His match, it was there. It was on the telly.
And you know,
he'll go to bat as well if it is an issue with Warner Brothers or Discovery. He will go to bat and say, "Look, we want to do this with our women's division. We need you to have faith in us."
So, to counter with that, no pun intended. Dave, you said it right on the nose, man. Actually, I should have known this. So, a year and a half ago, it was reported, and thankfully it was from a reliable source that I depend on, that Warner Brothers Discovery really wanted Tony to limit the women's division. I think what Warner Brothers is having an issue with, they're probably having that WCW mindset, and the reason why I'm bringing WCW into comparison with this, because WCW, there was just no focal point on a women's division at all.
No.
And I think that's the mindset they're getting. They're probably thinking, well, the men are the money, not the women, and that's a shame. Yeah, I'm not saying that's the case here, but if it is, damn. But you said it perfectly as well, dude. That Ring of Honor match, Athena and Willow Nightingale for the ROH Women's title, that went 21 minutes. damn good match. That was probably a match of the year contender for AEW for their women's division.
Overall, I would say.
I know this is where I backpedal and I just say I don't think this is really TK's doing. I really don't think so. Plus, in AEW's defense, it's kind of hard, when your roster is so strong the way it is, and you only get technically 4 live hours of TV time, and that's just the only thing that's tricky, Yeah, he gets a women's match on Rampage, but that kind of gets spoiled.
Yeah.
And then the women, supposedly woman in the back, is also voicing their frustration as well to Tony. Yeah. And again, I think he's gonna learn from this, and I want those women to succeed. I'm talking about the upcoming stars. So
yeah, we all definitely do. Last piece of news before we move on to what was a great program this morning for us, but last night for the great guys in the States. Allin. Now, Dave, we spoke about this when we done the Dynamite review, and we said, well, we was hoping that there was going to be some form of match announcement on Collision to get it started, because we're getting very close to the mark here without a match. Now, we did get something, which, we'll put it out there. CM Punk said he will be there at Collision, All In. But my question to both of you, and Dave, go first. Is All In at this, in very, what's the word? Is All In, or could potentially All In become an all afterthought? Because they've got 2 pay-per-views in the space of the week, which is unheard of in wrestling. I don't remember the last time it's ever happened. We haven't got a show. Bully Ray come out and just said, don't announce a match, just get the stadium full and then start. Is that a good idea now? Because it does seem to think that even any matches that get announced now, you look at Forbidden Door, they sold out before that, and then they announced 2 absolute blockbusters, and we sat here saying this was a great idea. You could fulfill that stadium twice over with those 2 match announcements. They backtracked on this, and I'm getting concerned that they might be overlooking this.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think next week we'll have some matches. CM Punk mentioned it on Collision, and something else happened on Collision that we'll discuss, which would mean there might be another kind of feature match. Mm-hmm. So I've done this before with AEW when they've not booked too much going into the pay-per-view, and it seems a little bit, last minute. But then the quality of matches that are announced are so good that it's kind of like, let's not analyze it too much. I'm sure Tony Khan knows exactly what matches are going to happen at All In and exactly what matches are going to happen at All Out. And there's certain things that's happened in the storyline, such as the finish to the main event on Collision, which would affect that card. So you can't announce stuff too early because the stories don't make sense then.
Go. Oh, sorry. Go on, Dave. Finish up.
Yeah, so I'm totally gonna, I've got full confidence that next week we will have a couple of matches to discuss.
Good. Gary Joe, they mentioned there was a match that's been rumoured now, which is Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay, which over here in the UK got literally cracked all over. They don't want to see it. They want to see Ospreay Omega 3. You know what people have been like with Chris Jericho. Is like, Dave, you've been a big advocate of, Chris Jericho. Can't really go anymore, in terms of
a little bit. All my thing with Jericho is less is more. He's got a spot in AEW, absolutely, and I don't want to see him go anywhere. I wanted to see him stay in AEW, but I don't want him to hog too much of the limelight when you've got so many other young up and coming stars. And I didn't want a WCW situation, and that's what I'd mentioned with Jericho. I'm a big fan of his, but if you're talking about that match in particular, I'll let you go now, Gary Joe. But Ospreay, Omega, or Jericho and Ospreay, there's no comparison really.
So I'm going to say this: no way in hell the show becomes a bust. I don't see that happening, and the reason why I say that, I think we all want a card. I mean, we really, really do. But I look at it this way, as a fan perspective, and a wrestling fan in general as well. So, number one, that I think there's going to be something else to this with Jericho and Will Ospreay. I think we're going to see a tag match. I think we may be going to see Takashka and Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega and Jericho. There's no way Kenny misses this show. Kenny has some beef with Takashka. I look at it this way as well. Like, you know, obviously the direction they're going is Don Callis getting his own faction. Will Ospreay is probably going to be the leader of that faction. Maybe Aussie Open will join them as well. But yeah, I mean, just go out of left field, put Kenny in that match, because that way, you know, they can please everybody with Ospreay and Kenny being in that. Do I like the thought of Jericho being in a match with Ospreay? I will be honest, no. And Jericho can't keep up with Ospreay. I mean, that's just not realistic to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jericho's career is winding down as well. You know, I think he's just coming to a close. You know, the end of the chapter. You know, he still has another 2.5 years left in AEW, so he probably just wants a big moment like that. But yeah, back to the show, man. Like, who remembers the first All-In? I do, and that is they just put a random card together for the fans to enjoy. Wrestling fans to reunite, realize there's actually something there. And it was a really cool time. That was in front of like 11, 12,000 people. Here we are now at Wembley. Yeah, again, we want the card, but guess what? AEW's ticket sales are still going higher and higher and higher. And, you know, they're just literally, I want to say they were, 8,000 tickets away from passing the all-time record. Like,
oh, that's close. That's closer than that.
I think so too. So I don't think that's stopping, you know, AEW to make this a dud or an afterthought show. I love what Dave said, you know, because Tony does really execute a damn good show every single time. And there's just no way this leads to one of the, you know, afterthought shows ever for AEW. I know TK is going to pull out all the stops to make this one of the biggest and best shows of all time in their early existence. So, I mean, like I keep saying, I have that positive mindset. Yeah, it sucks because I do want a card as well, but like when we talk about Collision, we're gonna get to that. But I just have no doubt in my mind this show is just going to execute on all angles, and obviously 7 days later you have All Out, but TK is already actually has a match locked in stone for that already, and that's Darby and Christian or Luchasaurus, whatever,
whoever.
It's excuse my language, guys, but it's ballsy to do 2 shows in 7 days, but
well, and the Dynamite and the Collision in between. That's 4, really.
I mean, maybe it could be overexposure, but then again, you know, you really want to generate the hype going into All In. So I just have no doubt in my mind All In's going to be a damn good show.
Speaking of damn good shows, let's bring on Collision. I still love the opening when they do these old school interviews about the matches they've got. I love that still.
Yeah.
And when I always say on a show, I always sit here and go, you need to start a show hot to pique your interest. I mean, I think we got second degree burns on this one, didn't we? Andrade, Buddy Matthews in a ladder match for Andrade's mask. What didn't this have? We even had Buddy Matthews getting his shoulder popped back in during the picture-in-picture. We had him getting hang half. There was a big table spot between Julia Hart and Buddy. And at the end, obviously, Andrade picks up the win. But Dave, when you start a show like that, you kind of just know what's coming.
Yeah, I was so happy as well they started with this because, you know, we knew what the main event was going to be. So you didn't want this to in any way risk getting lost in the shuffle, which it was never going to. But the way they started the show was absolutely electric. Andrade rocking some new gear as well, which
Yep.
which I like. I can see Andrade now going on to be one of the top guys in AEW. Look, he already is, but a real consistent run, which leads to kind of a world championship, the world championship picture for him. I'm such a fan of all of the guys in House of Black. And I'm so glad that they got this featured match and it was up first, and it's getting such a positive reaction online as well. It's absolutely great.
And it wasn't it wasn't sort of interference heavy. Because Gary Joe, one of the things that me and Dave spoke about Thursday was now Roosh has re-signed. Was we going to get an LFI reunion, so to speak, on Collision? So it didn't happen. But I mean, overall, what a way to kick off the show.
Like, this is what I mean with Collision, man. Like, they just really, really get you invested, like, from bell to bell. You know, so yeah, the beginning was it was exciting, and then obviously when things just going on in the match, like he had, oh my gosh, like a power bomb to Buddy Matthews from like the ladder, like the bridge of the ladder. That looked like I'd heard. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, the
Very
sunset
cool
bomb, wasn't it?
spot.
It was like sunset flip into the power bomb.
Something, man. Oh my gosh. You know, and then you saw Buddy do a move on Andrade as well. One thing that I really loved with this match is this is what I love about Julia Hart is she really again, this brings me back to the women's division. Book them in something like this. Highlight them in something. Because this was perfect. Julia Hart, man. Kudos to her on Andrade's back, and it was worrying me for a minute because you're so high up. I'm like, oh my gosh, Julia. And the way she was just losing her balance, and it made me nervous for her, but she took it like a champ. She took the "this is Sparta" maneuver right on to Buddy Matthews, man. It just, what a hell of a match. I don't think this feud's over. I do love the mindset with Adam. I think we're gonna get Roosh eventually. There could be a match right here for All In, LFI versus the House of Black for the trios titles.
Could it be in a House of Black Rules? Whatever they.
Yes,
It's kind of stopped, hasn't it, recently?
It has, but I think it's just, you know, for whatever reason, Malachi just wasn't attending in the Canada shows as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no way this feud is over. But kudos to Rush, by the way. Congratulations on his new contract. He's liked my stuff on Facebook, and that's just bone chilling, and that's his legit Facebook, so that's so cool.
That was brilliant.
I'm a massive fan of Roosh, and I wish he'd have been on more lately. But the thing you got to say about AEW, the way they cycle guys in and out, it always, like, when Roosh comes back now, it's going to be a big moment. It's going to be a big comeback, and they generate those moments by allowing the wrestlers to have plenty of time off, to have family time. Roosh has recently become a dad, or I don't know if it's his first child, but I think his wife's had a baby. So you can't really, from a wrestler's point of view, that's great. And from a fan's point of view, we get this great big moment when Roosh makes his return. So I'm sure, as you say, this feud isn't finished, and we do ultimately get that at some point.
Hopefully so. We go to the back. Miro gets assaulted by Aaron Solo. I have a feeling I know where that's going in the future. A squash victory for Miro. Darby Allin was looking for a fight this week.
He got one.
Yeah, he got one. All right. Minoru Suzuki, the king, comes out. If you're looking for a fight, he's the last person that you want to meet down a dark alley. I cringed at a few of these moves that come out of this match. There was a couple to the outside.
The suicide dive to begin with.
Suicide dive.
I feared for Darby, and he just bounced back up as if he was just like
done.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I thought that was the one that was really going to hurt him.
So, Gary Joe, quickly from you, where are they going with Darby? We know All Out, the match is locked in. He's got the TNT championship. Is this just sort of feeder to build him towards that before? I mean, he's going to have a showcase match surely All In, but where are they going with Darby at the minute?
You know, I'm very curious to see where they will go with Darby. You know, because he's always got something new. I think if anything, he's gonna, be the sidekick for a little while with Nick Wayne because he's new. That's who pretty much brought him into AEW. So I think it's gonna be like a mentor. So he's probably gonna. I don't think Darby's gonna be on a part-time basis, but it's just one of those things. What's next for Darby? He's done everything in AEW right now, and so I mean, with this match last night with Suzuki, I thought it was a blast. The pop was amazing, by the way. My friend Justin Del Rio, literally his last name, he was at that event and he said the crowd was really loud for Suzuki and that match in general. So, yeah, I'm curious to see if he will become I think a 4-time TNT champion, which will be the most title reigns with that title. So I love Darby, man, no matter what he does. I do agree with you as well. I think he will be at Allin. Maybe an attack match with Sting.
I think so.
But yeah, we shall see. And just to go in reverse a little bit, the whole thing with Miro, I don't know what's going on with that, but I think now that Aaron Solo got to him, I think now the next feud from Miro is going to be Powerhouse Hobbs.
Ooh, that would be take my money if that's the case. Dave, just quickly on this, and Gary Joe mentioned it. Darby Allin could win the TNT title for the 4th time in about 3 years. We've had this discussion before. Is it going to be the case of this is just going to be the feeder title for AEW?
I think I'm not so sure that Darby's going to win the title, but I think it'd be a great match with Luchasaurus, and you've got the Christian element as well.
Yep.
I think the week before it could just be Christian and Luchasaurus against Sting and Darby. That seems like a pretty logical match for the story. Christian, good safe pair of hands working with Stinger as well, so I could certainly see that match featuring on Allin. In regards to Darby, everything he does in AEW is good. And I love the little video packages. And I think Darby's more and more involved with the production of those video packages as well. Because the stuff that I watch, it seems to have the same kind of feel. I mean, even the Hook video that we saw on Dynamite, that was a very Darby Allin-esque production, if you ask me. So he's a major, vital part to all Elite Wrestling. In front of the camera and behind the camera. And I'm sure we'll have matches both all in and all out, and they'll be great matches.
Yes.
As this match was at Collision.
Yes.
And I love the end sequence as well. How they finished this. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
There was a number of sequences going into the actual finish, but the choke finish where Darby managed to get the pin down and then Suzuki loses it on the outside of the ring. I thought that was great. Really strong episode of Collision this week. Yeah,
really well done. The next part was there were Christian come on and cut his typical Christian promo, how he's the TNT champion. But he's saying that Darby does seem distracted by Fox and Swerve. We get a bit of a promo for the women's title match, so we know there's going to be a women's match on Dynamite this week. Shida and Toni Storm. The next one, Samoa Joe against Gravity. Now, forgive me. I'd never seen Gravity until Dynamite. And then he's taking on Joe, and I'm thinking, Samoa Joe, Gravity got a bit of offense. Samoa Joe done his walk away like Gravity does when he went to the top and done a move. But Gary Joe, just another win for a immensely talented and old school style wrestler in Samoa Joe.
I freaking love Samoa Joe, man. Like, he's so fun to watch. Like, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned is where Gravity's gonna do his move and then Joe moves out of the way. And obviously we've seen this before with Joe, but I loved it. I loved the fact that Joe did his little Gravity strut just to mock Gravity. And Joe is just so fun, man. Like, this is why I'm so happy that he's in AEW. He gets to be himself. He gets to be, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa effing Joe. He, like, that's another match that I think is going to happen on All In. I don't know if you fellas watch ROH, but you know, Joe is really wanting to face Zack Sabre Jr. at All In.
Yeah.
I saw Zack Sabre Jr. a couple of weeks ago, and if that, I'd buy tickets for that.
Yeah. So that match I think is going to happen, and then you're going to see a banger of a match with those two.
Dave, do you agree? Zack Sabre Jr., Samoa Joe?
Absolutely, and they've set that up for a while. You know, that hasn't just come out of nowhere. We don't feature Ring of Honor as much on this on the podcast because there's so much wrestling that we already cover. But they've been building towards that. I think Samoa Joe is just such an incredible performer, and somebody that I mean, he's getting his flowers, and I mean, he's getting a lot of the plaudits now that he should have been getting for a long time. WWE were mad for letting him go, but I'm glad they did because we get to see him in AEW. He'll have a great match at All In, and you just know that's you know what you're going to get with him. You know you're going to get a great match, contender for match of the night every time. This match on Collision, it was pretty short. You can't say it was a match of the night contender, and I kind of feel for Gravity a little bit because from the buzz of Tony Khan saying, well, you're on Dynamite and Collision this week, who you facing? Pac and Samoa Joe. I mean, that's a pretty daunting task. But again, introduction to another character in Gravity, another great wrestler. And I'm glad he's part of AEW as well.
Yeah, for sure. Next on the list, here comes Punk with his red Orange Cassidy bag. And what's in the bag? If you watch kayfabe commentaries on Sean Oliver, you get a totally different episode of what's in the bag. But anyway, he decides it's the old AEW title, which he sprays black with an X on his back to do his pose. He'd make a few little references about children, and he's an adult, and he's better than you, and calls out Ricky Starks, who I cracked up at that, by the way. Just pretend you haven't heard from me yet. Runs out the back, music plays again, big pop, McGuinness on commentary. Fantastic.
Yeah, really funny.
Dave, so because when initially Punk was talking, he was like, am I going to be at All In? This looked as if it was going to happen at All In. But in fact, now I'm going to put my WWE hat on here. So, you know, coincidentally, SummerSlam is next Saturday. And they've announced this match with Steamboat as the referee. Because Steamboat doesn't cheat. That's what Punk said. What are your thoughts on that? I'm not saying have they just done that because it's SummerSlam, but do you think they needed a big fight feel going into it, knowing the competition they've got next week?
I think the link back, I don't know how long this was in the making, but it just seems like the perfect piece of the puzzle, you know, the perfect thing to do, the perfect guy to officiate this match, both from his kind of he's past, you know, with Ring of Honor and what's happened previously with Punk, but also just as they put across on commentary, you know, he's just going to call it right down the middle. He's the ultimate kind of baby face, you know, sticks to the rules type of performer. And yeah, I think this is excellent. Whether the timing, I don't know. Maybe that's a coincidence, maybe not. And yeah, originally it might have been a match that was planned for one of the two pay-per-views. But again, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan has got his two cards and he's known what he wants to appear on those events a long time in advance. And again, it's just storyline things as to why he hasn't been able to announce anything any sooner. So maybe it was always the case it was going to be next week.
Yeah, and what a great match to head. I mean, every week Collision has a match, Gary J. You look at the 2 out of 3 Falls tag, you look at the opening week. There seems to be a running theme here. Differentiating Dynamite to Collision in so many ways, the presentation, the look and feel, even the match quality. Every sort of featured match has that big fight feel, and next week's going to be no different with that.
Yeah, I'm going to turn this into a dad joke because that's what I do at work too. This is absolute amazing for this next weekend. One thing that I love about TK, what he does is, again, he listens to what's going on with whether people like it or not. AEW is perhaps the second biggest company in the world right now. That could be a different debate for other people, but that's what I think. So what you need to do, you need to pull something out 7 days in advance And this storyline, again, that's what I love about Collision. The storytelling is just so good. And I don't know who or what's going to happen with this match. I think we're going to see a swerve to this with a couple
Swerve
things.
Strickland. Swerve. My dad joke. My dad joke. Come on, I need one on the show.
Okay, that was good. That was good. Very good, Adam. Man, I could see Ricky Steamboat actually not like I kind of see something where Ricky Steamboat actually helps Ricky Starks win. I could see that. Because if this is what they're gonna do is turning Ricky Starks heel, which I don't think that's the best decision. But let's say if that's what they want to do, have something where he's gonna actually have Ricky Steamboat, have him win. And next thing you know what, guess what? You actually made Ricky Starks into a really good solidified heel. Starks to me has the tools of being somebody really good in his company. I don't know who turned the light switch on with TK within 2023 of pushing Ricky Starks into this type of role and position and this momentum. Because Ricky Starks, to me, honestly, before this hot momentum in 2023, I always saw Ricky as being one of the future pieces to AEW. And this is what I'm loving about with this show, because it's highlighting him more, it's making him look better. Now, let's talk about that segment. I kind of liked with CM Punk, spray painting the X. It gave me NWO vibes, not gonna lie. But is CM Punk gonna be the heel with all this? Because why are you spray painting the title, man? That comes off as heelish more than babyface. And again, see, this is what I love about this feud. It's making you wonder. And the whole thing with Ricky Starks saying, "Oh, you're gonna act like I never came out." When you guys pointed that out, that was one of the things that I wanted to point out. But I'm glad that you guys brought it up, because, man, that was just so fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, you're just gonna put put the pedal to the metal, just continue with your show like it's a normal show. I don't think TK's intention is to make, oh, well, we're going to beat them with viewership compared to SummerSlam. I don't think that's TK's mindset. I think he just wants to get the fans, that just devote their time with AEW to actually realize, okay, we're going to put you on a damn good show no matter what. And I expect TK to make that show really, really good regardless.
He will.
Because of SummerSlam being that night. So.
Yeah. He will do that. Now these guys are tremendous. Bullet Club Gold. The Juice Robinson, the Guns. They got Vikingo, Action Andretti. Darius Mine. They brought a cardboard cutout of Jay White. Very short match. Their entrance is probably one of the best entrances. I'm glad, although there was a bit of comedy with the cutout, that we saw a bit more of a serious side to the Guns, because the Bullet Club is a serious group, Dave. And I said last week that I felt that the Guns were a little bit, not degrading of the group, but if this Bullet Club has always been such a serious, powerful group, and you had these little kids basically in there that were kind of bringing down I'm not saying the maturity as such, but the overall group, but more serious ones tonight. A quick win, but a win quick enough that ultimately puts them over as one of the top teams on Collision.
Yeah, it was telling as well that they picked up the victory with their finisher, the 310 to Yuma. They've bulked up as well. They've obviously been spending a lot of time in the gym, and there was definitely more of an edge to them now that they've joined the Bullet Club. I thought this, like pretty much everything else on the show, was fantastic. And what I would say about Collision, if Collision was a pre-record, if it was recorded and it was a box set, like a series like Game of Thrones, you would be watching it. You'd be binge watching it, wouldn't you? You'd get to the end of like this week and you'd be straight onto the next week. And that's what good television should do. And just because it's wrestling, and sports related, doesn't mean that you can't build a series like that. It's when wrestling is at its best, it's how Collision is right now. So I think we should really make the most of it, and long may it continue.
Gary Joe, do we go Bullet Club Gold, House of Black, LFI at All In?
I don't see that just yet. I think they're gonna slowly, get to that. What I would love to see for All In, I would love to see Dave Finlay and a couple people from the Bullet Club in New Japan go up against Bullet Club Gold. Because after all, Bullet Club was one of the biggest focal points to the original All In back in 2018. So I think that's what they should do, and I like that would be really cool to see. Would they do it? I think it's a possibility. I mean, obviously their relationship is so healthy with AEW and New Japan. That's what I would love to see. Jay White, like the storytelling would be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you guys kicked me out and all this and all that. And, that's what I would like to see. But when it comes to that time, Adam, like Bullet Club Gold, LFI, and House of Black for a trios title match, I think my heart would be pacing out of my chest with excitement. So
we won't do that just yet.
Gold.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's not do that just yet. Mercedes Martinez, Kiera Hogan, really quick match. Mercedes Martinez picks up the win. Mercedes kept the Brass City stretch on there. Statlander runs out. Nightingale runs out as well. Dave, is that the C planted for Statlander versus Martinez?
Yeah, definitely. I think Mercedes Martinez as well. She's very underrated, and we haven't seen a great deal of her in AEW. We've seen her, at times, and she's been in Ring of Honor a lot. I think she's exactly what we need on Collision. And if it looks like the TBS title is perhaps going to be, defended more on Collision, there's no roster split when we like Darby Allin, for example. He appeared both on Dynamite and Collision, but certain guys seem to find a home on the show. And I think if Mercedes Martinez is to find a home on Collision, I think that would be an absolute great fit. You also have Willow Nightingale involved in this as well. So again, like we spoke about earlier, there's so many talented wrestlers in this women's division, and now I do really think we're going to get some good stories going into All In, going into All Out. And again, like I just said, long may it continue, because Collision is doing everything right now.
It is. Gary Joe, Willow Nightingale, another one off the crop list there of extreme talent. What does the future play out for her at the moment? Because she come out, there was a bit of, that's a 4 in this. Are they thinking 4-way?
I mean, I don't think it's going to be a fatal 4-way. Maybe a tag match is what they will do. Who will Mercedes have? Personally, I think I know who they can bring in for being a Mercedes tag partner. If that's what they do, this is one person that CM Punk has trust in, and again, CM Punk is part of creative with this show, and that would be none other than Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb would be perfect. Serena Deeb and Mercedes has history. So that's what I would love to see, personally. As Statlander being, on this show, again, like I said earlier, you need to involve the women more in some capacity. So would I like to see this match with Mercedes and Statlander? Hell yes, just because, this is what I love about Statlander's run right now. It's literally against legitimate opponents, and that's what I'm loving about this title run of hers. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Statlander and Mercedes. I think that's going to be announced later in the week, and yeah, it will be a TBS title match with those two. Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Brilliant. Main event time. Boy, oh boy, what a main event. FTR versus Better Than You, Baby, MJF, Adam Cole. I mean, we talk about suspense, and you really honestly didn't know what way this was going to go, and that's why I really loved the match. You knew the winners will be taking on Brian Cage and Big Bill next week, I believe. So we didn't know what way it was going to go. There was right at the end, FTR did pick up the win. I think MJF slightly messed up. He was apologetic there, and it looked like he was going to do the heel turn. Didn't happen. They hugged it out. Dave, are they setting this up for a bigger heel turn? Maybe even All In now.
This main event and the aftermath was absolutely perfect. It was perfection. It was. Man, it's why I'm a wrestling fan. It's the type of stuff, and I mean the whole story and the whole build, but it's the type of stuff that I go back to my brothers who watch wrestling now and again, but they don't watch it like I do. And some of my friends will say, "You need to see this. You need to watch this match. You need to recap what has happened in this story as to what led us to this point." Oh, I can't gush over it any more than that, I suppose. But FTR, we really need to really be grateful for how good a team they are. We're in years to come, when FTR aren't wrestling anymore, we'll be kind of referencing them and going back to some of the great matches they've had. I mean, just some of the great matches they've had on Collision, like in the past 6 weeks. But this was up there. And what I love as well is the fact that Big Bill, we spoke about this on Dynamite, and I wasn't aware that Big Bill and Brian Cage were going to pick up the win, but that's who I wanted to, because that added another element of intrigue. Because Cole and MJF had beat them in the run-up, you were thinking, well, surely, that's where we're going. But then you're thinking, no, FTR aren't going to drop the titles. So it was perfect. It could have gone either way. The one move that I really wanted to point out, I know Gary Joe's probably got more to add on it, but the tombstone reversals and then into the super kick, into the bounce off the rope and the roll-up, I just thought that was sublime. Excellent match by all competitors, but more impressive, I think, is the story. But Gary Joe, I'll head over to you.
Take it away and finish off, Gary Joe, please.
I'll try to make this a very big grand finale, I guess. Now, I don't know what it is about FTR. This is the FTR that we wanted to see. This is why Dax, and this is why Cash, this is why I firmly believe why they re-signed with AEW, because of matches like this. Because for the last few weeks, it's between a 4 and 5 star match. It's just out of this world. And the whole thing with Adam Cole and MJF, I'm not going to lie, I was thinking to myself, they're really going to pull the trigger. They're really going to make them win the titles, aren't they? And obviously that did not happen. One thing that I absolutely love is the post-match. I'm thinking, man, they're really going to split. Man, this sucks. It is what it is.
I was watching through my hands. I was legit doing this, watching it. I was like, don't do it. But I was like, he's going to do it.
But that's what I love about it, Dave, is, man, this is what AEW needs, and it's working, and that is the cliffhangers. And that is how you properly book, is you're going to get people more invested. You're going to have Collision get talked about. AEW as a whole as well, and that benefits AEW when you do cliffhangers like that. And, I mean, even after the show went off the air, a few of my friends went to that show. They were drinking tequila and they were eating pizza in the ring. MJF, this is what I love about this storyline. What's next for MJF now? Is he going to be the face? I say yes. Adam Cole, I think he's the one that's going to turn heel on MJF. Just because, we got this thing where MJF keeps saying, well, the Bidding War 2024, I'm out of here. He's resigned. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to be blunt as could be with that. I really believe he resigned, and I think he's going to be perhaps one of the biggest baby faces going forward. And the whole thing with Roderick Strong, I said a couple weeks ago, I could see, Roderick Strong, coming out to Adam Cole's aid, because of the betrayal. I don't see that happening now. The swerve that I see is, no, not Swerve Strickland, Adam. I definitely see Adam Cole turning heel. Adam Cole as a heel, to me, it's been most of his career. It's worked for him. It's been beneficial for him. Yeah, people would be like, but Adam Cole is more of a face. Did you watch his NXT run? Did you see his Ring of Honor run? Way better as a heel. So I think that's what they should do. This match, I don't think should happen at All Out. I think it should happen at All In. When you're hearing, it's going to be no brainer. Over 80,000 fans in that arena, stadium, explode with a lot of shocked faces. Not saying have MJF lose the title, but I think after the post match, again, that's where you see maybe a handshake. Then Roddy just says, no. And then there you go. Have Adam Cole turn heel right now. But not all I know is what a Collision easily. I don't know. Every time I say, well, this show was better than last week, the one before that was better. Collision is where it's at. That's not taken away from Dynamite. I think Dynamite's pretty good. But some of the predictable formats that happen on Dynamite compared to Collision, where I feel Collision's more unpredictable, and that is how you book a show. So kudos to TK, Dax Harwood, Bryan Danielson, Phil Brooks, just everybody that's making this show every single Saturday is officially my new favorite day of the week. It's no longer Wednesday, and I'm just saying. Sorry if that was a little too far-winded, David Adam, but nope. I wanted to make it a perfect Hollywood positivity. So
that was a perfect way to end, and it does show that Saturday night is all right for fighting. Well, we always do scores, Dave.
Oh, I thought you was talking about a perfect way to end.
You are going to end the show how you normally do, as long as you can remember what you do.
Yeah. I'm scoring Collision 9 out of 10 this week. To be honest, I could have scored it a 10, but I know that AEW always find a way to top what they do, whether that's Collision, whether that's pay-per-views. So 9 out of 10 for me.
Larry, Joe, what have you made it this week?
So, as I shared last night on Honor of the Elite, I'm going to give it still an 8.5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a B+. I would have given it an A- if the women's match was stronger, but other than that, I think this Collision was better than last week. It just blows my mind, man.
It was, and I also gave it an 8.5. Best show of the week for me was Collision anyway, out of everything we've watched. But Dave, well, obviously, Gary, Joe, thank you so much for coming on. But we always end AEW with our good friend, the cleaner, Dave Robinson. Can you please bid us all adieu?
It's time to bid you all adieu. Mwah! Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Stay safe.